Today, I'm speaking with Stefan Brain. Now, Stefan has helped generate over $1 billion in sales and runs one of the biggest D2C masterminds in the entire world of businesses doing $300 to $300 million per year. And some of your favorite brands are in this mastermind. Now, he's trying to solve marketing with his new AI agentic platform called Stefan Brain, which makes him one of the few people who are actually building in this space. And so today, we're going to be covering a host of topics, including how he views AI, what it really looks like building in the AI space, and ultimately what the future of marketing looks like. So if you're in AI, marketing, or just getting started, this is a must listen. Probably the best place to start is obviously you've had massive influence on Ecom. For the people who haven't or don't know you, who is Stefan Brain in 2026?
In 2026 is, an interesting caveat because it's always changing, but my background is in direct consumer and direct response marketing. So I started off as a copywriter, freelancer, service provider in 2012 and scaled different direct consumer businesses, both for myself and for clients over the years, and have helped a lot of those brands and businesses to, get to 8 or 9 figures and whatnot. And in 2026, who am I? I mean, I'm kind of now an OG in the world of like D2C and marketing. And I'm still very active in the trenches, and I got AI pilled in like 2022. So I feel like I'm an early adopter there, and I have a AI kind of startup called Stefan Brain, which we can definitely talk about as well.
Or what are your few main focuses? Obviously, you have Stefan Brain, which is
Yeah.
agentic AI for marketing and D2C purposes. What else are you currently working on?
Yeah, really. So Stefan Brain and then CA Pro, which is like a mastermind that I started in 2019. It was originally called Copy and Funnel Accelerator, then Copy Accelerator, then now CA Pro. But it's the same general thing. I just kind of removed copy out of the mastermind name because it led to people assuming it was a copywriting mastermind, and it kind of never was. It was always about, scaling D2C brands, right, online. And so we've got about 70 or so businesses in the mastermind, and it's them plus their team members. I would say the average revenue is about 30 million a year. You've got people doing 250 million a year. You've got some people who are earlier and doing 5 or 6 million. So helping them was it's almost like a fractional kind of CMO slash growth consultant slash like senior creative strategist. They can submit stuff and I review their ads or copy or funnels, but also a lot of strategy things. And then that ties into Stefan Brain because having recorded myself reviewing and helping and consulting for all those years, I basically was able to take that and train Stefan Brain, which is that kind of a marketing intelligence we built. Those are my two main things. I mean, if you talk to me over the years, I've done way too many things. I mean, I'm still actively am the co-founder and uh, pretty significant equity holder in a telemedicine company that's doing like 50 million a year. But I'm not really focused on that. In 2026, I stepped back to really focus on other things. And um, I fight the urge every day to start another D2C or ecom company, but I'm
Sure.
really focused on what I'm doing now. And so yeah, just those are the two main things.
Yeah, okay. I would love to get into that because I remember I think it was either one of your emails or one of your X posts where you're like, in another world, I would definitely be, or if I was younger or whatever, you'd definitely be kind of playing the ecom game a little more. Um,
Yeah.
what would that look like?
I mean, I think right now, VCom, the name of the game is really like it's not like it's at the ad level. Meaning, so for example, on Meta, it's like just a lot of meta ads, and so it's like there can be sort of image ads, like static ads with like short little descriptions or captions, or it can be really long ones. People are running like these long, like almost a sales letter where it's 2,000, 3,000 words of text that goes with the image. And then there's like, the video, there's different formats. There's like animated, claymation, there's like Yapper, there's UGC, there's like founder led. There's all these different types
Yeah.
of like ads, right? So but they're all like, almost all of even the video ones are 30 seconds to a couple minutes long. And so really you get a good kind of product page, like a good product, a good like landing page that the product goes to, a good little offer structure, and then you're just testing a ton of ads. And so within that context, what would I do? I mean, I'd find like a category I like. I mean, I think there's I kind of know categories that are better than others. So if it was like supplement, right, there's stuff on like hormonal health, like menopause, things like that. There's a few other interesting categories, and just be cranking out ads, which is pretty easy to do with AI. I mean, Stefan Brain, but also like Higgsfield and
Yeah.
other sort of tools. And throw all the things that were kind of hard and laborious are like not anymore because of AI. So it's really about ideas and just like cranking that stuff out. And I've always been fast and good, and with AI, I'm better at it. And then getting the data and iterating and everything. So uh, yeah, I don't know. It wouldn't be too. I don't think it'd be too hard. But it would also be maybe a distraction as well. I mean, I think the biggest pain in the butt is just sourcing good products. And by the way, I might
Yeah.
also do like I've got a guy in CA Pro doing like a physical book and scaling that really well. And like the average order value of the funnel is like $47, but his CAC is like $10. And you're like, okay, like, dude, that sounds pretty cool too, right? And you
Right.
keep scaling up the ad spend, and the ROAS is staying between 4 and 6 times, like 4 and 6x. And so, like, hell, that sounds even easier. Just go get some high quality, like, book, like, printed on demand type of thing and
Yeah,
like sell that. So I don't know. There's a lot of ways to skin a cat, I think. It's
for sure.
yeah.
Like I know IM8, right? They do obviously the supplements, but now they're starting to put more of a community on the back end where it's like now you can actually have like access to doctors or even info products. Do you see that a lot now, especially with AI?
Yeah, definitely. I think that there's a lot of different ways to do it, but in general, the bigger your sort of brand halo is, the better. And you're like kind of like the community aspect, I think was always really helpful and valuable and kind of underplayed by a lot of brands. But I think in the age of AI, it becomes even more important. I think that why is that the case? Because you've got people are going to crave and already are craving authenticity more than ever. It's the same reason why founder-led brands and founder ads and things are more popular because it's not just some spun up AI brand with like faceless people or AI content or whatever. It's like people feeling an authentic connection, both with like the founder, but then also others who are like them, right? And so that's the one of the deepest human things possible. And is it going to go away? And in a world of increased automation and agenticism, whatever, like it's
Yeah.
only going to increase where people want more authentic human connection. And so absolutely. And then on the other side of it, whether it's like little bonus guides or it's like
Mm.
a little platform, an app, uh, like why would you not expand your universe and sort of offerings in both with free and paid resources and assets that just make the customer feel more and more like A, they feel more and more like they're getting more value,
Yeah.
and B, it's more touch points and more ways to interact with them and more ways to keep them in your ecosystem so they don't go out of your ecosystem. So you complete the circuit more. It's more of like a closed loop ecosystem that, is worth more money. Every customer is worth more money to you, and the retention, the LTV is better, and there's more brand equity and value too.
Yeah, because it's fascinating, like just seeing the evolution of it all, right? Especially now again with AI, right? Like you can do so many things, and then I've always been a big advocate of just because you can build anything doesn't mean you should build everything,
Yeah.
right? And so I think a lot of founders specifically are getting like, hey, we can build all this software out, but is it truly what kind of the ICP or whatever is needing? So I guess like when it comes to Stefan Brain, where did that idea originally come from?
Like I built something called free ad copy, and this was when AI came out. And so freeadcopy.com. The idea there was copy is going to sort of be commodified and like people won't pay as much for to copywriters or for copy, and AI is going to write it. And so we might as well be the ones to help commodify it. And so we
Sure.
created free ad copy, which was basically people could come in, they could use these templates and fill out like fill in the fields, and it would write ads or different forms of
Right.
copy. And it was like free and for a certain amount of outputs. And then you could get a paid plan. You could also refer people if for every person you referred, you got like 10 more credits or outputs, et cetera. And it was cool. I was doing other things at the time, so I didn't scale it to a massive level, but it was enough that I was able to sell it maybe 2 years ago, year and a half ago. But while I was doing that, I also started thinking about video. So we really wanted to like solve like video because like, wow, video is kind of the biggest bottleneck. People have video editors, they have like, there's a long kind of lead time between the idea of a video and when it gets produced. And
Yeah.
so we really looked heavily at that. I created like an auto VSL thing. I still I think I may have let the domain expire. Maybe I have it. It was like autovsl.ai. So VSL video sales letter. It was like, you know, so anyway, I basically like, was thinking about all those things. So on one hand, I've been kind of wanting to like agentify marketing processes for a while. Stefan Brain in particular, though, came from just AI getting good enough to do it, I guess. Like I looked at it and I'm like, because again, even in 2023, I realized all this stuff, all these recordings, all the emails, all of the content, all of the training, everything we're doing now has like a much longer life cycle. It's not like a one and done. It's not like a even like a video or content on YouTube. YouTube is a little bit more evergreen, but like a post on X, you post it goes like this and it goes like down, right? It's up and down. And so, but you're like, this is all this corpus of knowledge. And so I recognized that really early on. And it got to the point where AI finally got kind of good enough that you could do a lot with it. So it wasn't just that it had that knowledge and context, but it could actually create the outputs. And so, like and then in CA Pro, again, people could submit all these things to review their copy, to review their ads, to think about angles and big ideas and hooks, to do CRO reviews, it's like me doing it is cool and I can command a good price for it, but it's also not as scalable. If I'm like I can just do it, and sort of clone myself, right? It's always the holy grail.
Yeah.
That'd be great. So I did that, and then the feedback was really good. The usage is really high, and then you go out to an expanded TAM where there's so many business owners that come to all the time who start an ecom company or an info product or coaching or whatever it is, and they kind of don't know what to do. Like they know a little bit, so they're like, all right, I built a funnel. I'm trying ads. I don't know if the ads are good or not. I don't know if this is the right funnel structure. I don't know. Or you look at their copy and the copy's like terrible because they don't know and they're not going to become a copywriter. And so
Right.
it's sort of just like, let me just solve all that for you. We'll tell you the funnel structure, can build the assets, it writes the copy, it creates the ads. And the ultimate goal is just to, agentifies the entire D2C marketing process. And we'll get to that within 6 to 12 months, I would say, probably, where it's like really just fully agentic. It's really good now, but like fully agentic.
That's crazy. That's awesome. What would be like one of the bigger bottlenecks that you're facing with right now with Stefan Brain?
Maybe like with people, I like to be like this week. So we did like a very soft like launch of these more expanded tiers. So before you had to pay 5,000 a month to be part of my mastermind to get access to it, right? And then now 499 a month and 999 a month. So much more accessible price points. So we were giving people trials before, and a large percentage of them would go, "This is great. Like, how can I keep using it?" We'd say you have to be part of this mastermind. They didn't want to be part of a mastermind or pay $5,000 a month, whatever. And so we've expanded access, which is great. But one of the biggest, I don't know if I call it a bottleneck or not, but the thing that the theme of this week on the negative side, I guess, would be just that we can't just vibe code anymore, right? I have a data
Right.
scientist, I've got some legit people, but up until now, a random person would go, "Oh, it'd be really cool if it did this," and then somebody on my team would go, "Cool, I just like I built that and I pushed it to production." Right? We go to staging and the
Yeah.
production. I pushed it to production, and but now with like more users, essentially the pain point, to be completely candid, that the platform stability has sort of suffered. We also pushed this really big upgrade to our chat where it's like a fully agentic chat, which is using currently an Amazon like AWS harness, but we're gonna probably switch harnesses. But anyway, we pushed it. We knew it was gonna be wonky, but there's just been bugs and stuff. I mean, we're still getting great feedback. People are converting to paid. But the biggest thing here is like, hey, we can't just push every day. Like, I don't even want to push an update every day. Like an update should get pushed once a week. Like we should know what's on it. We should be QA really extensively because you just get, and this is a very, I think, common pain point for people with vibe coding projects, and it's where what the big SaaS is like a Salesforce would even tell you is this one thing to kind of vibe code a tool or solution for a few people, but as you start having more and more users, you need that stability, and you also need to become more of like an organized company because if Bob changes this thing over here, but it has all these downstream effects you weren't expecting, and so there just needs to be much more coordination. So yeah, I mean that's probably the biggest one. And then I do want to hire more people. I want to get more data folks on. They're expensive. It's hard to find good ones. I mean, I'm probably planning on an extra 50 to 70,000 a month and like kind of hiring expenses for that, to be honest with
Right.
you. But you actually have to find them, and get them on board.
Sure.
And, we're in an AI sort of super bubble type of time. Not that AI is like a fad, but just like,
Yep.
there's so much money pouring in that
Right.
finding and recruiting those people is hard. But I can do that. I know that's one of my big jobs. I'm CEO, right? CEO is to recruit and attract and retain great talent. That's one of the big things. I wanted to make sure people would actually pay for it besides my mastermind members before I
Right.
went crazy doing it, but people are paying for it. They're converting at pretty good clips. So that's probably one of the next big things. But yeah, stability is the number one thing. And hopefully it's resolved by like I mean it's already better than it was a few days ago, but like even today there's a stupid bug where uh the main chat interface, like you type something in the chat, hit enter, and the chat just refreshes and it looks like nothing happened. And then the team's like, oh yeah, no, but it's still there on the sidebar of the other chats. I'm like, well, yeah, but the average person doesn't realize that. They're like, I'm like, I was pretty mad. I was like dropping some F bombs and like I'm not that kind of like mean, angry, yelling leader, but I'm
Right.
like, it's a miracle anyone's paid for this effing thing so far. I'm out, you know what I mean? And like, but that'll get resolved. That's a very candid answer, but it's a
Yeah,
true one.
no, hey, I appreciate that. Yeah, I've always found, especially with SaaS too, it's like they want the thing and they want the result and any
Yeah.
friction in between, just like ecom, right? If there's any friction, it's like, they drop off. And it goes from vibe coding to like a real deal really quickly, right?
Yeah.
Like you can vibe code like again, just put it out to market, see if there's any demand for it. But by the time you go, okay, let's actually like make this a product and something that people are actually gonna come back to, have that consumption, yeah, it becomes very real very quickly. And one of the things too, like you see a lot of these companies, I'm curious to see your thoughts, where it's like, they want full AI. They thought this would change everything, kind of, that hype. And then now you see some companies being like, you know what, it's actually too expensive to have all this going. What are your current thoughts with building Stefan Brain? Have you seen that? Are you actually seeing the ROI, which it sounds like you are? But when it comes to like costs and such, are you like, wow, this is a lot more than I thought? Or
Yeah, I mean, the cost can be high. I mean, I personally 100% know what you're talking about and have heard that refrain. For me, the ROI has definitely been there with AI from whether that was on like an agency level. I don't have an agency now, but when 2023, I sort of restarted an agency just to do some client work because I'm like, wow, if AI, we can do a lot. I was gonna make a couple million bucks and like great, right? But I don't say that flippantly, but it was just like I had the relationships and like I was able
yeah,
to do a high volume for people and stuff. But even now, yeah, for our members, I mean, they're it's attracting people to like $5,000 a month, and they're using it. It's helping them for retention. We hear all the time from like it. We use Stefan Brain and increased our conversion rate on our control by 20%, or like
mm,
our life. So like I know people who use it are gaining ROI, and for my own businesses, I know I'm more effective, and so I almost feel like it's a harder problem with larger organizations in general because I think
right,
like maybe they already have all these baked in kind of SOPs and legacy technology and systems and things. And so figuring out how to intertwine all of that is tough. Yeah. So, but the costs are high. I mean, like we've talked about, I mean, another thing for Stefan Brain, like on the trial right now. So basically, average trial user costs us up to like $50, right? And then super transparent, right? For 499, originally we had baked it in for essentially $150 worth of usage. So you can do the math on our margin. But then people were hitting their usage limits too quick. So I'm like, double it, triple it if you have to. Essentially, someone pays 499, they shouldn't really hit usage limits unless they're a crazy power user. It's a bad experience if they become a paying customer and after a week, like I'd rather make no money and just keep growing because I
right,
do, I'm trying to build a valuable thing. Now there's also a whole thing of like caching or caching, I guess you say it's
yep,
caching, but like, like so we already implemented some caching stuff that makes each credit go a lot further. And then I think in the next 30 to 90 days, we probably move to like open source, to be
yeah,
completely
okay,
honest with you, because open source is catching up, right? And so I don't think we need another more powerful model. I think like we go open source and probably cut our costs by, 90%, and then our
sure,
margins are really juicy. And so I think we solve that problem that way. And I think more and more businesses will explore open source as a result of that. Maybe you use Frontier for like certain things. Like for example, people paying 5,000 plus a month, like, maybe they get some Fable in their lives when Fable comes
right,
back or whatever, and if
yeah,
they need it. But you don't really, the other thing I've realized is the average person for what we do in like marketing and D2C and ecom. And again, when I say D2C, I mean info as well. I always, like, some people
okay,
immediately equate that with ecom, but you have got guys in the mastermind that are doing like dating or Ascension high ticket, like the moves method guys are my mastermind. They do like, low like info up to like like a coaching, training, higher ticket stuff. I've got two big biz op guys doing mid eight figures, almost nine figures, etc. So like whatever, but they're selling to consumers.
Mhm.
But none of it, you don't really need Fable for like most of that. You know what I mean? Like, what do you like?
Yeah.
Really, it's like Fable wasn't really a better writer, so you don't need for copy. Like, it's not like there's sort of like these certain things on conversion, like conversion elements, like for any kind of like funnel or landing page or ads. I don't know that Fable is better than 4.8 or 4.7 really at identifying those. Like there's times where Fable's cool. If I was trying to build like a software or do coding or clean things up, like right now with the stability things I mentioned, I wish we had Fable because I think it would probably clean up things a lot faster. But like I don't think one of my weird contrarian beliefs is even though these frontier models are going to get more and more powerful, I think the benefit to the average consumer and small business is going to be more and more diffused versus being
Yeah.
like direct. It's going to be like big companies get it. They may like, cancer gets cured or like stuff
Yep.
like that. You know what I mean? Versus like Susie in Oklahoma,
That's right.
it's like, oh, thank God I have Fable 10.0. Like, I don't think
Yeah.
it makes a difference to her. So, yeah, I don't know. So I think the cost will actually go down though for the average business and not go up.
So yeah, to your point, like the mom and pop shop, or just hey, can I start even a business? Like even Sonnet will do, most of the heavy lifting before even needing to go to 4.8 or whatever. Um,
Totally.
when it comes to open source, because obviously that is becoming more of a topic now. You have government coming in finally for the first time saying, look, we're going to take some of these models away. GLM 5.2 just came out.
Yeah.
That is making some waves. How do you look at open source? Do you think it's the future? Are you obviously you're looking at it from a cost perspective? What do you think about when it comes to open source?
Yeah, it's a great question. I was just thinking about it this morning actually, because so the argument goes that Anthropic is engaging in regulatory capture to try to not only to be the one deciding on this policy, but also to kill open source, right? And you've got kind of libertarian, more right-leaning people who are wary of that, which I think is good. At the same time, I do wonder, it's like, okay, if Fable, or Mythos really does have these capabilities that could be really dangerous, like, can we, what do you do about that when open source gets those capabilities, right? Like,
Right.
um, I don't know how you really like ban open source. So one, I don't know how you really ban it because again, they can be run on like local models
Yeah.
or locally and things. So like, I don't know what you do there. That's point one, I think. Point two is, in the US, for example, if they take a really restrictive policy around AI development, okay, China probably doesn't as much. And so then China just takes the lead. Again, the question becomes me and the US. For me, the question is like, am I able to, use these Chinese models or do they get cut off too? And am I just stuck with like
Right.
4.8? And then I don't, on one hand, like I don't care because I can do a lot with 4.8. But the
Yeah.
problem is if like this is above my pay grade in a way, but it becomes more about national security, safety, uh, things like that. So I do think that there's a real fight for the future of open source, and I do. But where I get conflicted is again, I mean, I do if say you double the power of Mythos and there's an open source model for it, like it's for sure going to get used by bad actors. But I just don't know what you could really do, right? Just like banning it in the US is going to stop bad actors from getting it.
Right.
BS, right? Like
Yeah.
other countries are going to have it. So I don't know what you do with it, but I think that will be a big fight. I just don't know what I don't know what the future holds on that one yet. I don't think I like predicting the future though, so I'm going to keep thinking about it.
Or what's just one prediction you have for just where ecom is going? Do you think like because as you can see, even like Facebook too, right? I'd like to know your thoughts. They're obviously making a switch where they're almost like it seems like they're taking the art at a lot of this, right? Where it's
Yeah.
just like, you put in whatever the case may be, we're gonna do it all for you. And I guess maybe that's what agentic AI is as well, right?
Yeah.
But what's like one big prediction you have for just the future of ecom?
I think on a macro level, it really is going to be authentic relationship driven brands that kind of what we talked about earlier have a wide ecosystem of touch points, meaning in-person events, experiential things, community driven. I think that becomes more and more. the norm. I actually could see more ecom brands, I guess, on a more tactical level, doing kind of high ticket sales and having like a back end because I think like a long high ticket sales call is like a harder thing to get rid of AI. Not that you can't do it, but I just don't think people are really working on that use case of like a 45-minute, like you're going in
Right.
the weeds of a person to get them to commit to this life-changing thing to spend five or $10,000 or whatever. I
Yeah.
don't think in the immediate, next year or two, that's probably not like a big thing from AI, maybe 3 years. But no matter what, even in like 5 years, 10 years, I think ecom is like I do think getting a reputation now, like having like being known as a founder is more important, having your brand known now before like hyper proliferation of AI. And then those brands win by creating experiences and sort of bespoke experiences for people. So again, like, events,
Mm.
like just unique things like that. That's probably a big part of it. And then by the way, the other part of it is I do like if I sell Stefan Brain for like $1 billion, like I'm definitely going all in on like offline, like experience driven, like so restaurants, but with like kind of unique, innovative model that's much more experiential than sit down, like or community things or whatever, because I do think humans are going to gravitate more and more towards those offline things. If like the online world is solved,
Right.
right, then they're going to go more and more towards like I think
Sure.
things in the offline world, and so that's actually funnily enough like where everything old becomes new again, even like
Yeah.
I think from digital we go back to more like in-person analog.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a great point. That's what I think too. Like it's all cyclical, right? We
Yeah.
had this experience and now we're like, hey, we just want to kind of shake hands and speak to people and go back to a community, small community type vibe, right? Like speaking of the creative strategist role and kind of ecom in general, um, it seems almost like historically it's been a bit siloed, right? You had so many roles. You had a media buyer, you had maybe the copywriter, you had head of growth, X, Y, and Z. Um, Now it kind of seems like it's more holistic, right? And I guess that's RMBC too, right? Where it's like, look,
Hmm.
you have to be a copy thinker, you have to kind of know the whole funnel, and how it all kind of aligns. People don't seem to be hiring just one specific role anymore. It seems like, hey, the
Right.
generalist potentially that knows kind of again the full funnel. Do you think that continues, or do you think it breaks eventually?
No, I think it continues overall. I think that you need somebody who understands that holistic marketing component of like the entire journey from, ad to conversion. If we look at what happens after the initial conversion and like sort of the LTV component, uh, somebody who understands all that is great, but from a kind of creative strategist role, like that's probably not their purview. That being said, like what brands probably don't want to conflate is a creative strategist and a CMO. So, you still probably want someone who at the end of the day is, generating great ads and driving conversion that way versus they're going through and doing all the CRO stuff and optimizing the landing page. And like essentially there's a difference between make my ads and my landing page congruent and like run all these A/B tests on my landing page and be in charge of that. And I think those, I guess for now stay siloed, but ultimately where it goes though is like a, because so much of it will just be agentified. Like AI will do it. It will write the ads. It'll make the ads.
Right.
It'll like everything. And again, the caveat there is, I guess, if like the restrictions on AI generated content and stuff like that, maybe we still need lots of humans in there. But I still think AI will the video editing, all that stuff, right? And so, yeah, like ultimately you'll be directing AI more than anything else, I think.
Okay.